Here's your wrestling news for September 23rd, 2022. And we're kicking off today with AEW as there's a new world champion, and his name is Jon Moxley. Moxley defeated a very game Bryan Danielson to win the title this week, but there's no rest for the wicked, and this is your official spoiler warning for tonight's Rampage. At last night's Dynamite, Tony Khan confirmed that next week's AEW Dynamite will be on Tuesday night, not Wednesday, meaning it'll go head-to-head with NXT once more. It was also announced that the Dynamite episode will feature Jon Moxley defending his world title against the winner of the Golden Ticket Battle Royal, which will take place on tonight's Rampage. That Battle Royal saw Hangman Adam Page emerge victorious, meaning he'll be Moxley's first opponent on the Tuesday Dynamite in the first ever singles match between the two. The change in schedule has been attributed to TBS's coverage of the Major League Baseball playoffs, and with AEW Dynamite going up against the go-home NXT before Halloween Havoc, we'll have to see which brand is dominant. During this week's Grand Slam edition of AEW Dynamite, Saraya made her debut, shocking fans at the arena and at home. Saraya's debut was a huge moment that came mere months after her departure from WWE, a decision that her former employer seemed to regret. According to Fightful Select, WWE was trying to bring back Paige after Triple H took over and had tried to speak with her about a possible return. WWE chose not to re-sign Saraya in June, allowing her contract to expire in July, but that came before Vince McMahon's retirement from the company. It's unclear how far WWE got with their plans to bring her back, or even if they got the chance to speak with her, as Fightful also noted that AEW had been speaking with Saraya all summer. With Triple H taking over, many superstars who worked with him in NXT have returned, including Dexter Lumis, Karrion Kross, and Johnny Gargano, but that wasn't meant to be for the first ever NXT Women's Champion. Saraya's debut for AEW came after being cut from WWE in July, as the company had no plans on her wrestling again and couldn't find a reason to keep her around. We can't say for certain that she'll wrestle in AEW, though that looks likely, but we know that Saraya's appearance for AEW got some mainstream attention in her native England. Saraya's debut was picked up by a lot of major news outlets in the UK, including the BBC, who highlighted that fans were legit shocked by seeing her addition to the roster. Saraya has only been with AEW for a couple of days, and she's already been giving the company some major international media exposure, as her debut could not have gone better either for her or for AEW. Saraya's debut this week was a huge moment for her, especially after a mixed time in WWE. While the former Paige was the first ever NXT Women's Champion and two-time Divas Champion, her career began to turn in 2016 after suffering a series of suspensions. In August that year, Paige had her first suspension for violating the wellness policy, and though she initially denied these accusations, she failed another drug test a few months later in October. Speaking on an episode of Lillian Garcia's Chasing Glory podcast, the now AEW star claimed that she failed the first test because she was late in submitting the prescription, but took responsibility for the second. It's not even good. I didn't even enjoy it. I didn't enjoy doing drugs. It was wild to me, but you just get caught up in this lifestyle and it's like, whatever, this is me, you know? No, it's not me. No, it's far from me. You know I'm not that person. I'm that person when I was 15 going, this sucks, but I just wanted to be cool. You know what I mean? Paige went on to say in an interview with Fox that her situation wasn't helped by the toxic people she surrounded herself with at the time. Honestly, you surround yourself with toxic people, then that doesn't really help either. So what I did, because I remember walking through a supermarket and I looked terrible because, you know, I unfortunately did. I'm very open about this and I love to talk about it just because, again, it helps others. But I unfortunately popped the drug test in WWE because I was just going through a bad stage in my life and was just so depressed that I turned to something else, you know? Thankfully, Saraya has since been able to turn things around, but only after undergoing more difficult situations, and we'll have to see if AEW allows her to wrestle once more. On the latest Raw, a QR code was spotted which took fans to a creepy video teasing we'll get answers to the recent White Rabbit teases on tonight's SmackDown. One popular theory is that the White Rabbit is Bray Wyatt, and there's even discussions about what he could do on the show. According to sources, WWE has been discussing immediate plans for Wyatt's return, including what he could do on tonight's SmackDown. According to one source, there's been talks about Wyatt interrupting the undisputed tag title match between the Brawling Brutes and the Usos with the pitched idea for Wyatt to decimate everyone involved. This would be followed up on later in the night, as Wyatt would also confront undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns after dispatching the Usos earlier in the night. We know that Reigns is scheduled to appear on the show, and while the Tribal Chief will discuss his upcoming match with Logan Paul, a return by Wyatt could also happen. With Drew McIntyre engaged in a feud against Karrion Kross, there is no legit opponent who could terrorize the Bloodline down the Blue brand, and that spot could be filled by Bray. There have even been talks that Wyatt could be the one to dethrone Reigns, which may have been used as incentive when negotiating his return to the company. Fans may remember that Reigns' run as champion began back at Payback 2020 when he ended Wyatt's brief one-week reign as Universal Champion. And now, 754 days later, The Fiend could be out for revenge. When the Good Brothers Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were released from WWE, they made their way to Impact Wrestling, debuting at that year's Slammiversary. Gallows and Anderson have gone on to become three-time Impact World Tag Team Champions, but there isn't a fourth reign in their future. Fightful reports that the team has finished up their tenure with Impact, and while their initial contracts were meant to expire in July, they decided to stick around for a few more weeks. Gallows and Anderson are already finding new work, as the report also notes their plans to work with New Japan, especially in time for next year's Wrestle Kingdom event in January. In a video shared by Impact, it was confirmed that they're going away, but Anderson did tease a return, saying that this isn't goodbye, but that we're leaving for a little while. Whether Gallows and Anderson return to Impact, only time will tell, but for now, the Good Brothers' tenure with the promotion is over for the time being. Now, AEW has a lot of veterans on their roster who, in addition to wrestling, help out behind the scenes, and the original Death Dealer, Luther, is one of them. Luther has been missing from AEW programming since May after he was sidelined because of an injury, but now has a new role in the company. Fightful Select reports that Luther had his hand in producing one of the matches in AEW Rampage Grand Slam, and that he's been doing this for quite some time. It's also noted that Luther has been cleared to wrestle since September as he worked the SOS Castaway show, but is yet to wrestle on TV for AEW since being cleared. Serpentico, Luther's tag team partner, is still active on AEW Dark and Elevation matches, and is also said to be working as a coach, as the young talents in AEW have a wealth of knowledge at their disposal. More from AEW now, as one ex-WWE superstar who is with the company is set to take some time off. At All Out 2022, Ruby Soho suffered a facial injury, which was believed at the time to be a broken nose, and we now have an update on her condition. In a video shared by the UK-based 1PW promotion, it was confirmed that Soho has suffered a broken nose and that she will be needing surgery for it to heal. Not only will this keep her from the 1PW event scheduled for Doncaster, England on October 1st, but it also means she'll be out of action from any AEW matches for the foreseeable future. The tweet noted that Soho will instead make her 1PW debut in February 2023, so she should be healed and back with AEW by then, but the former superstar is on the shelf for the time being. Now, earlier this month, CM Punk had some explosive comments during the AEW All Out 2022 media scrum, and a backstage fight ensued, pitting Punk and his trainer Ace Steel against the Young Bucks. A lot has been said about the fight and what AEW should do with their former world champion, and now Ronda Rousey has weighed in. Appearing on her latest gaming stream, the WWE superstar addressed the fight and questioned just how legitimate it was. Was there a real fight? Everything is all hearsay. I don't know what to say. I wasn't there when it happened. I know I didn't see it, but are you sure it's not, a work? Rousey is hardly alone in her assumption that the fight was a work, though all reports have suggested that what happened after All Out was a shoot. Tony Khan has removed everyone involved in the fight from AEW programming, with speculation that Punk and Steele could be fired, but if so, that decision will only come after the ongoing investigation is concluded. Back to WWE, and given that she's not a wrestler, you'd be excused for thinking Kayla Braxton's time with the company hasn't been rough, but that isn't the case. Braxton has been with WWE since 2016, first debuting as a ring announcer for NXT before moving to the main roster, and now serving as a SmackDown interviewer. On Twitter, the co-host of WWE's The Bump revealed that she suffers from sleep paralysis and has done so since she was young. Braxton explained a recent battle of sleep paralysis, saying she dreams that a girl ran in front of her on the bed and that Braxton couldn't move or speak, which understandably freaked her out. In response, fans shared their own sleep paralysis stories, with one Twitter user saying how they experience it, and for them, they can't move as an old lady watches them in the room. According to studies, between 8 and 50% of people will experience sleep paralysis at some point in their lives, and we want to give kudos to Braxton on speaking about her condition. And we're ending today with AEW, who as of late has held a series of backstage meetings with talent to discuss some of the issues that have been happening as of late. The first of these meetings happened in August, and we've previously reported that Kenny Omega had what many called tough love for the roster. Thanks to reports, we know that Omega said during a meeting that he wouldn't have hired most of them, with Dave Meltzer reporting that he said he would not have hired 8 out of 10 people in the room. In an update, it's reported that Omega made the comment before turning to Will Ospreay, saying that the New Japan star doesn't work for AEW, yet could wrestle circles around everyone in the room. It's also reported that Omega's comment was seen as the AEW EVP expressing his unhappiness about what the company had turned into and voicing his opinion about those who don't respect AEW or Tony Khan. Right now, Omega is serving a suspension due to his role in the AEW All-Out backstage fight, but with comments like these, the roster may not be ready to welcome him back with open arms.
Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.